In the gaming industry there is a concept called IP, which has probably been heard many times before. IP stands for intellectual property and refers to the intellectual property of a work. For example, the Elden Ring game, released a few weeks ago, is a new IP and is owned by From Software. In other words, no company has the right to make another version of this collection unless it purchases the right to own it in full. It is not clear to anyone that some of the game industry's strongest and highest quality IPs belong to Sony and the PlayStation console. One of the main reasons Sony consoles sell high every generation is the same IPs. Who can really not mention titles such as Uncharted, God of War and Last of Us when he talks about the best games in history? Although many of these titles still survive, and every now and then, a new version of them is released, there are also IPs that no one has heard of for a long time. IPs that were once successful and later forgotten or given by manufacturers to rest. In this video, we have reviewed 9 PlayStation IPs that have been in blackout for a long time and we would like to see a revival in the 9th generation. If you go on Reddit forums or similar sites, you'll probably sooner or later be faced with comments from fans of the game who are desperately calling for a new version of the series. Warhawk is a title that was released exclusively for the PlayStation 3 console in 2007 and received excellent reviews from magazines and gaming-related sites. The game was initially scheduled to have both a single and multiplayer segment, but the singles division was cancelled by the creators, and Warhawk was marketed as an online multiplayer game. Warhawk had 4 game modes at the beginning of its release, which later increased, and with the launch of several new maps and added content, the game gained more popularity. Of course, there were server problems and player rating system, but the popularity of the game had reached such an extent that these problems were less likely to come to anyone's eyes. The game's servers were eventually turned off by Sony in 2019, but fans of the game in miscellaneous software and third-party tried to keep the game alive and succeeded to some extent. Despite Starhawk's 2012 debut, which was actually the game's spiritual sequel, no official sequel has yet been made for the Warhawk, but we hope this will happen as soon as possible and that the series' many fans will be able to once again experience the joy of the game in the 9th generation. Another successful PlayStation IP that was not in the 8th generation is Twisted Metal. The game offers a mix of racing and action styles that are very attractively combined. The games in this series usually have fascinating stories that are always accompanied by some black humor. Although the storyline of each game in this series is different, but its overall story goes back to an annual race called Twisted Metal, during which each participant must take the other participants out of the race with their armored car and military equipment and become the champion. As the ultimate prize, the tournament host fulfills one of the match-winning aspirations. Of course, most of the champions of this tournament do not experience good days after fulfilling their dreams, and this is where the black humor of the story reveals itself. Different versions of Twisted Metal are available on PS3, PS2, PS1, PSP consoles, even PC, and the games of this series have been republished several times in different formats due to their good performance and good financial returns. Many games have ever patterned out gameplay and Twisted Metal stories, and it's strange that the title has been in absolute blackout for several years. We hope to see a new version of this franchise introduced as soon as possible. In 2007, when most hack-and-slash games were compared to the God of War series and squashed under its shadow, Heavenly Sword came along and attracted the attention of many gamers with a relatively new approach to the genre. This game was made by the well-known company Ninja Theory, which most of us know today with Hellblade: Sonna's Sacrifice and the Devil May Cry reboot. Heavenly Sword reviews were almost positive, and the game scored a meta rating of 79. Most critics praised the charm of the fight system and the game's QTE scenes, and almost everyone believed the IP had the potential to become a successful series, but no one has heard of the game for about 15 years now. Since Ninja Theory has proven its merit in making attractive games over the past few years, the 9th generation seems to be the perfect time to revive the game. Although with the agreements that the company had with Microsoft, it is unlikely that this will happen. Almost everyone knows the popular Infamous series. The latest version of the game, Infamous Second Son, was released exclusively for the PS4 console in early 2014 and was able to get a lot of positive reviews and make a good profit for Sucker Punch Studio. But for about 8 years now, there's been no more news from the Infamous series, and it's as if the creators have forgotten about it. The Infamous series games have always succeeded in entertaining audiences well by presenting a fascinating story and more engaging gameplay. The first version of the series, which came out in 2009 under the name Infamous, won a meta rating of 85 and ranked among the best PlayStation 3 games. 2 years later, Infamous 2 was released for the same console and was again able to evoke audience acclaim. Thus, without taking into account the DLCs, 3 games were made in the series from 2009 to 2014, and now it hasn't been around for more than 8 years. We've heard rumors of a new game, but we just have to wait and see if these rumors are true. We hope to see a new version of this collection in the 9th generation. Like Infamous, Sly Cooper is one of the manufacturers of Sucker Punch, which seems to have been forgotten. The last game of the series was released in 2013 with the name Sly Cooper Thieves in Time on 2 PS3 and PS Vita consoles, and this was the last time we were able to experience a work from this series. The Sly Cooper series has always attracted the attention of gamers because of its particular artistic style. The main character in the series is raccoon named Sly Cooper, who steals from other thieves like his ancestors. The story and the characters in the game remind the audience in part of Robin Hood's animation, and the style of play, which combines secrecy and platforming, doubles the excitement of the stages. A CGI animation based on the series is under construction, with no release date yet. According to rumors, voices are being heard from the making of a new game from the series, which has yet to be officially confirmed. We hope the 9th generation will be accompanied by the return of this lovely collection. If you're a 6th and 7th generation gamer, you'll probably remember the SOCOM series well. Between 2002 and 2011, 10 games of this name were marketed, and the series quickly became one of the most popular tactical shooter styles. SOCOM US Navy SEALs were composed of 2 online single-player and multiplayer sections. The online section of these games quickly became popular, and for a long time, SOCOM was among the most popular online games. Like most games, the single-player section was short but attractive, and the variety of stages and guns multiplied the value of repeating this section. The last game of the series was released in 2011 with SOCOM 4 US Navy SEALs for the PS3 console, earning a meta rating of 67, which was considered a low score compared to most other titles in the series. After this title, Zipper Interactive concluded that perhaps the series needs a bit of a break. Unfortunately, this break took a little longer than we expected, and now we have not heard from this series for about 11 years. We hope to see the powerful return of this series on the PlayStation 5 console in the 9th generation. It was about 9 years ago that Killzone Shadowfall came out as one of the titles of the PS4 console launch, and then we never heard of this high-quality collection again. It's definitely taken 9 years to make a first-person action title, but Guerrilla Games doesn't seem to be planning on releasing a new version of the series anytime soon. The first game of the Killzone series was released in 2004 for the PS2 console, and about 2 years later, Killzone Liberation came out exclusively for the PSP handheld console. The best game of the series was Killzone 2, which debuted for the PS3 console in 2009 and won the Great Meta of 91. Unfortunately, the last game of the series, released as Shadowfall, was a mediocre game and failed to fully meet expectations that it would go from a Killzone game. Perhaps that's why Guerrilla Games decided to give up this IP for a while and create another fascinating IP called Horizon Zero Dawn. But maybe it's time for Killzone to be revived and once again be able to experience this fascinating first-person shooter. Another game that suddenly disappeared and to this day no news of its new version is the Siphon Filter series. Many young gamers may not be familiar enough with the series, but I have to say that the first game of the series, released exclusively on the PlayStation console in 1999, was one of the highest quality titles of the era and paved the way for the production of similar games. Siphon Filter is the name of the mysterious biological weapon introduced in the game. The story of the series has a political theme, and hence it can be placed alongside games like Deus Ex. Its gameplay was also so intriguing that it was able to bring Meta 90 for the first game and Meta 81 for the second game. So far, 6 works have been published under this name, some of which have received very positive reviews and some have received moderate reviews. The last game of the series, Siphon Filter Logan's Shadow, was released in 2007 for the PSP console and earned an excellent Meta 85. There was no word from the game afterwards, and fans of the series are waiting for the series to return perhaps after 15 years. We get to the last game on the list, which is nothing but the powerful Resistance series. It's really strange that this series has been forgotten and we haven't seen a new game in 10 years. Why strange? Because all the games in this series, except Burning Skies, released for PS Vita, have been very successful titles and have made huge profits for the developer and Sony's entertainment department. Resistance games have always been admired by gamers and critics for their interesting storyline and engaging gameplay. The game puts you in an imaginary historical world around the 1950s where space creatures have invaded Earth, and you and your warriors, as the last resistance forces on Earth, defend our planet against these creatures. Up to now, 5 games from the series have come to market, with the titles Resistance Retribution and Resistance Burning Skies for PSP and PS Vita consoles, respectively, and 3 more titles released on the PS3 console. The title Resistance Retribution has a special place among the best PSP games, and the 3 titles published on the PS3 are also among the best action games of the 7th generation. We hope that Insomniac Games once again intends to create a new game from this series, because it is a pity that such a high-quality IP is forgotten. We've reached the end of the video. Which PlayStation IPs would you like to see revived? In the comments section, I'm waiting for you.